Okay, hi Year 10. This is the pre-release for Lesson 1. What is a drainage basin? What is a long profile? How does the cross profile change downstream? What river processes occur along the course of the river? A river carries water to the sea. A river makes a journey from its source to its mouth. A river, like the River Severn, has a journey of 354 kilometres from its source in the Plynlimmon Hills to the Bristol Channel at its mouth. That journey that it covers is known as its long profile. So the long profile shows the gradient of the river as it journeys from source to mouth. Now, rivers start in upland areas. The Plynlimmon Hills, the source of the River Severn, is 610 metres above sea level. And over the course of the river, over the journey from source to mouth, clearly the land has to get lower because it ends at sea level. So the River Severn is carrying water from 610 metres above sea level down to the sea at 0 metres above sea level. We call that the long profile. Rivers collect their water from a certain area of land and we call this the drainage basin. So a drainage basin is the area of land drained by a river and its tributaries. Tributaries being all the kind of small streams that join the main channel along its route. The source is the start of a river, upland area. The mouth is the end of the river where it empties its water into the sea. Where a tributary joins the channel, the river channel, we call that a confluence. And the final key term there is watershed, which is simply the edge of the river basin, where one river basin meets another river basin, if you like, and that's normally along the top of a line of hills. So, there is a diagram of the long profile. So the start of a river, the source of a river is normally at high altitude. The land is high and steep. As it travels to the sea, the land gets lower. The lower course of a river has low altitude. I should at this point mention that we tend to speak of a river as having three stages, three courses: the upper course, the middle course and the lower course. Upper course is the high altitude, steep relief, steep slopes. Lower course is the area closer to the sea. Cross profiles. A cross profile is a slice across a river valley, and it can be across a channel. A channel cross profile is if we could take a slice through the actual river and look head on at it, whereas the valley cross profile includes the land on either side of the river channel. So you've got some diagrams. So the channel in the upper course is very narrow, and it's quite shallow. Rivers get wider and deeper as they travel from source to mouth. So you can see the diagrams quite clearly and read the stuff that goes with it. Valley cross profiles. In the upper course, the land on either side of the river is V-shaped. It's got very steep valley sides. And this is because of vertical erosion. The river is cutting down into the land. As you travel into the middle course, it becomes U-shaped. It sort of widens out a little bit, not so steep valley sides. And this is as a result of both vertical but now also lateral erosion. As you get to the lower course, you've got wide, flat valley floor on either side of the river, and it doesn't really look like a valley anymore. The diagram then shows you what the long and cross profiles of the river will be like along the river's course, upper, middle and lower courses. Study the diagram well. You need to know what's going on in each stage. And finally, you also need to know the processes which are listed on that diagram. And I've got the spinning wheel of doom, so I can't actually see what I've then written, but basically river processes, a river erodes, same as coast, same as the sea does, hydraulic action, abrasion, solution and attrition. And there's a diagram. A river, as I said, can erode vertically, and it does so in its upper and middle reaches where it's cutting down into the land. As it gets into the middle and lower course, it starts to erode sideways, but we'll come on to more on that later in the lessons. River also transports material. Again, it's the same as coast, so you really shouldn't have too many difficulties with that. And a river also drops its load. Material deposited by a river is called sediment. Same as coasts, if the river slows down, it loses energy and it drops whatever it is carrying. It will drop heavy stuff first because heavy stuff takes faster velocity, more energy to carry. So as soon as the velocity falls, the river will start to drop big stuff. And it will still be able to carry some small stuff, but it's the big stuff that it drops first, and then if it gets really slow, it continues to drop the smaller stuff. Okay, I think that's the content briefly covered in 7 minutes. You need to do the tasks. Please make sure that if you have any questions that you write them down, but you need to read, having listened, write the questions down. You will not remember them when you get to class. So there's a section there that says, do you need to ask any questions at the start of the lesson? Write them down. And then there's a reduction activity, so there's a few tasks for you to do on the sheet. You will need each lesson to print out the pre-release sheets. This is your knowledge base. In class, there's not going to be teaching going on. Traditionally, there are going to now be activities based on this pre-release. So you are supposed to come in knowing a little bit about the long profile, the cross profile. These terms should not be unfamiliar to you. You come in and there will be activities for you to do to test application of knowledge, rather than for me to or for your teacher to stand at the front of the room delivering that knowledge. You come in with the knowledge and we then help you and test you with the application of that knowledge.